Hello, hello, hello. Well, we are in for a real treat today. Literally, I'm making a real treat from page 146 of my new book, The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss. We are going to be making blueberry muffins, and these are no ordinary blueberry muffins. They are SOFAS-free. All my food is SOFAS-free. SOFAS, the acronym for sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, and salt. It just expands on Dr. Goldhammer's SOS, sugar, oil, salt, because a lot of people didn't know that pasta and bread and alcohol were refined carbohydrates, so we had to add it to the acronym. We also should actually add 2 C's for caffeine and chocolate, but then we'd be SKKOFA, and it's getting too long as it is. So, welcome to Weight Loss Wednesday, episode 86. I'm Chef AJ, the creator of the Ultimate Weight Loss Program and the author of this book, and this is where I answer your questions about healthy, permanent, and sustainable weight loss. Today's episode is live, but usually it's not, so the best way to submit a question is through my website at eatonprocess.com. So let's get started. You're getting a bonus recipe today because we were out of plant milk, and so when you're out of plant milk, you make more. You can make any kind of plant milk. All you need is a plant. So for almond milk, you need almonds or almond butter. And for rice milk, you need rice, brown rice, cooked or even uncooked. But we're going to make oat milk today because I happen to have a plethora, that's a big word, I know, of oats. My favorite oats are the organic Bob Red Mill's gluten-free. I like the extra thick cut. It really doesn't matter for making almond milk, or for, oat milk, but for eating, I like the toothsome texture if you can get them. But if you can't, any kind of gluten-free oat is fine. So the way you make plant milk is water plus the plant. So there's 2 recipes in unprocessed for almond milk, and I have 2 videos on my website where I showed you how to make it, one actually with Dr. Joel Fuhrman. So I just need a cup for this recipe, so I'm just going to take a 1/4 cup of oats with 1 cup of water. And what I love about the Blendtec is it's so easy to see the measurements on the canister. Can't really see them on the Vitamix, which I also love. Put it in and blend. Now this is going to be loud. There's nothing I can do about the sound of the machines. They're loud. That's why they're machines. Okay. So that's 10 seconds. We have our delicious almond milk. I keep saying almond milk. I'm so sorry. I'm used to almond milk. Our delicious oat milk. And if you want to strain it, you can. The thing is, unlike almond milk that has all the pulp, oat milk, rolled oats are in a way, they're cooked. They're flattened and steamed. When I've done it with the oat milk in the straining bag, which is 99 cents at a paint store, much cheaper than the almond milk or whatever, the plant bags that they sell you at Whole Foods for like $8 or $9. These are 99 cents. When I've tried to strain the oat milk, nothing really comes out. So that's that. So we're going to just use this for our liquid. You can also use water if you don't have any, or you can use apple juice if you need it sweeter. If this recipe isn't for somebody in UWL, like for your kids that aren't used to eating this way, you might want it sweeter, and the way to make it sweeter is to substitute the plant milk for an equal amount of unsweetened apple juice. All right, so we start with our bananas. The recipes in unprocessed use a lot of dates, which are certainly healthy, much better than sugar, but they are much more calorically dense at 1,300 calories a pound. So in the new book, The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss, when I need sweetness, I use things like bananas, or I use roasted pears. So these are ripe. These are a little bit less ripe. You have like about 3 degrees of ripeness, 50 shades of ripeness. I've got 8 bananas here, and so what I'm going to do, I probably could have peeled these in advance, but I didn't, so you'll watch me peel them now. You may know this already. I'll show you. Did you know that monkeys, I could use the blender too, by the way. I don't know why I just bothered dirtying another machine. You know, it's kind of stupid, isn't it? So luckily, I'm stopping before I do something silly. I already had the blender out, so why don't I just do this in the blender? That's the whole purpose of having a high-powered blender, right? So let me put these in the blender, and then this is practically clean. And speaking of clean, my counter is clean. My apartment is old. I've lived here since '94. It's an apartment. The counter is dingy. It's got nicks. It's got stains that are permanent. It's not dirty. I have a cleaning lady, believe it or not. I know, I'm embarrassed to say that, but I'm a terrible cleaner. So monkeys peel bananas like this from the other end. And the reason is because then it won't break. I'll show you the other way it will break. So how ripe your bananas are will depend on how sweet your muffins are. The riper the banana, the sweeter the muffin. The least ripe the banana, the less ripe the muffin. See, when you do it this way, it breaks off. I don't know how monkeys knew that, but it's brilliant if you ask me. So 8 bananas, and you know, guys, when you ask me what can I substitute for bananas, nothing. I'm sorry. You know, if you're allergic, I understand, but those of you with like textural things, get over it. Get some hypnotherapy. There's wonderful vegan hypnotherapists in LA, Lisa Huber and Dale Jaffe, that can deal with these kind of textural things. Maybe not so much if you're actually autistic, but for regular grown-ups, for textures and for people that don't like vegetables, hypnotherapy has been proven very effective to help you get over that. If you're allergic to bananas, you're probably also allergic to plantains. I got no substitute for bananas. The reason they work so well in baking is because they also are a fat substitute in addition to being a sugar substitute. So I got no substitutions for you. I'm sorry. I try to make substitutions for you when it comes to things like nuts and beans, but you know, I'm not a miracle worker. I can only do so much. But they do work beautifully in baking because they are so moist you don't need oil. So they replace the fat, as does the little bit of applesauce, unsweetened applesauce I'm using. So I'm going to blend the bananas. And if I hadn't used this blender already to make the oat milk, I would have just done it in the food processor. I don't know why, but I would have. So I'm going to add my applesauce. And always a good idea when you know you're going to make a recipe to do what's called the mise en place, measure everything out in advance like I did. This is all my dry ingredients. I said, again, the recipe is on page 146. So I've got all my dry ingredients in here. And I have got my apple cider vinegar in here. I don't want to mix it right now with the baking powder type things or baking soda because that's what causes the chemical reaction. To make it rise. So you don't need one of those fancy schmancy mix masters, you just need a good blender. So I'm going to mix my wet ingredients with my dry ingredients that are already measured out in the bowl. Again, the recipe is on page 146. A very similar recipe is in Forks Over Knives. So these are a variation of the Just Bananas muffins. These are the blueberry muffins. And one of the reasons I was prompted to make this recipe today was because somebody had somebody had written me a question about why was the recipe in my book different from the recipe from Forks Over Knives. Well, that's because that was a long time ago. And then I was using more sweeteners, even though they were whole natural sweeteners, and more fat. And so the flaxseed was taken out. But you could put it in if you're okay with that. I don't know why this looks really watery. Is it 8 bananas or 4 bananas? Hold on. I should know. Let's see. What if my recipe in the book is wrong? That's not going to be good. This is from the chapter Second Breakfasts. This sure doesn't look right to me, guys. But I don't have very many oats to add in. This looks too liquidy. Could this be a mistake in the book? That's all I got left. Well, maybe I do have a few more oats left in the cabinet. Let me look.
Smells really good.
Yeah, but again, if it's too liquidy, what's going to happen is it won't cook.
Right.
So I got to really check that recipe. That's going to be a real bummer if it's wrong. But I guess it's better that we know now than later. So that was probably another half. But this is good that it happened. Better happen to me than to you, right? All right, let's see. So that was another cup in altogether. Man, that is still... Oh boy, this is embarrassing, guys. Live TV, but this does not look right. Batter's supposed to look a certain way for muffins, so far I've added 2 cups more. That's a bummer with a book because you can't just like pull it down because then nobody can buy it. Eventually we'll fix all the mistakes. That's the great thing about Audible is you don't have to record the recipes. Still looks too wet to me, doesn't it? This is so embarrassing to be caught on the air. But you know what? Motto of my culinary school is it's not what you can make, it's what you can fix. So we're going to fix this.
We'll just have more to eat.
That's right. We have plenty of pans. You know, I'm wondering if it was supposed to be 4 bananas and somehow the recipes got crossed mixed. I'm going to have to check the thing. This is still too wet. All right, I'm doubling the oats in the original recipe, but then I gotta double my spices, don't I? Ugh, who has time for that? Not me. We're going with this guy. We're gonna make this work. Yep. I'm pretty sure that was the problem. This is looking better now. So I'm gonna add my frozen organic wild blueberries. Another good recipe in the book, if you like blueberries, are the blueberry millet muffins. Yeah, now it's looking better than ever. I have got my oven preheated. I always recommend you get an oven thermometer. Even if you live in a brand new place with a brand new oven, you would be surprised how often they are just not calibrated correctly. Yeah, this is perfect now. So,
Do you want to add more spices or no?
I'm all right with it. I don't need it more spicy for me. Because it's the banana and the blueberry that's really the star of this recipe, you know? Not all the other spices. So there we go. Perfect. Good thing it happened, guys, because who knows what I would ever have gotten to this recipe. I just happened to have so many ripe bananas in the house. So now we're just going to put it in these little silicone baking pans. You can get these on Amazon. I've seen them at Walmart very inexpensively for like $6.44. I've seen them at Michael's. I've seen them at Bed Bath & Beyond, and they're great because nothing sticks. So when you're doing oil-free cooking, or baking actually, these are the best. So these are great because now you can actually take 12 of them home eaten, whereas before you would have only been able to take 6 of them home. See, so there's no such thing as a mistake. So we'll fix this, guys. What I need to do is
people are saying so we need to double all the other ingredients.
Well, don't listen, guys. Don't quote me yet. I've got to really look at the manuscript of the book and see where the area is, and I can't leave this dude. So by the way, this is not dirt. This is the counter. It's messed up. This yellow, these are not dirt. This is permanent ingrained old apartment, guys. All right, so now we're going to put them in.
Can they use fresh blueberries?
You can, but you know, I've always told that the wild ones are like supposedly better and more health benefits for people that were, you know, the problem with the fresh ones, guys, is they're so big and they don't seem to disperse as good. And I don't know, these seem to be, you get more blueberry for your buck with, I mean, I can show you the difference. I have fresh blueberries or in my organic blueberries in my fridge right now. I put them in salads, but they don't seem to disperse as well. They seem to sink to the bottom when I've used fresh. So you can, anything that you can do that works, do it, you know, get back to me on that. All right, yeah, so good. This is better. Better to have 24 than 12, if you ask me, of anything. So there we go. And hopefully these will be done. These actually have to bake for about 40 minutes, and we're already about 15 minutes into the show, but maybe you'll get to see these done. Sometimes I do a dummy recipe in advance. Not a dummy recipe, but you know, one that already did, so you can see what it looks like. But when it's hot like this, I don't want to turn the oven on. I should have probably just done these in my Breville. Don't know why I didn't, but there we go. And these are great. I always do things like this. The cram muffins, the millet muffins, I freeze them. The cinnamon buns, I freeze them, and then Charles takes a couple to work every day. Things do not tempt me once they're in the freezer at all. It kind of makes me like, why would I want to eat that? Excuse me one second, lovely Eden. I'm going to put these in the oven now. These will both fit on the same rack. The other thing is if you're doing more than this, you always want to rotate your trays halfway, but since these are going on the same one, we don't have to do that. All right, so now we're going to set the timer for 40 minutes, and we are going to get on with the questions. All right, any questions before I get to the questions that were sent in?
Were those the frozen blueberries from Trader Joe's?
Yes, they were. I actually have the bag right here. The wild blueberries, maybe these weren't the organic ones, but these are definitely the wild ones that, if you believe in Anthony William, he's called the medical medium. He recommends those.
He does.
And I like them because they're small. The regular blueberries, you know, are really great and delicious, but they're really big. And I find that the fresh ones just don't work as well in baking. They kind of burst and sink down. But anyway, it's all right. So let's clean up here so we don't get any criticism. Okay. Any questions, guys, before I go on to the questions that I've already received? It's hard. Listen, I know how hard with you and Kenny is because I've been doing it myself for a couple of days, and it's really hard because they go really fast. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Valerie. She gave this to me when I was speaking in Spokane. It's a lovely book, and the card was even more lovely. Thank you so much. And thank you, Robert Cheek and Karen Oxley, for my awesome shirt. It was Karen's birthday yesterday. They're the awesome couple from veganbodybuilding.com, and I appreciate people like Robert Cheek so much that make this way of eating more accessible to men that may not want to do it because it's not manly, because they're really manly, the guys that eat this way. So,
Someone asked, can I use dried blueberries and soak them?
yeah, I mean, probably. Why not? I don't know why you'd have to soak them. If you're using dried blueberries, they'll get wet in the thing, but sure. Remember, dried fruits are going to be of a higher caloric density. Blueberries are 200 calories a pound. Dried blueberries are 1,300. So they're going to be more calorically dense if you use the dried fruit, but I bet they'd be delicious. If you can find dried fruit without oil, sulfates, sugar, it's really hard, especially cranberries. It's almost impossible to find dried cranberries that don't have either sugar, oil, or both, unless you make them yourself in your dehydrator. But cherries, raisins, goji berries you can often find without the added SOS and the sulfites. I'm more concerned as an asthmatic about of course I don't want, sugar as a recovering food addict or oil as somebody that understands why that's deleterious. But as an asthmatic, I don't want the sulfites, because those things, that's why salad bars and everybody's like, let's eat at Sioux Plantation. All the salad bars pretty much, I think, correct me if I'm wrong if Whole Foods doesn't. I know we have a lot of people in Ultimate Weight Loss that work at Whole Foods, but I really worry about that, because when people are all eating at this, from the same trough, I worry about it.
Someone said, AJ, your arms are so toned and beautiful. Do you get the results from standing on your bike maybe?
Thank you. I really don't. I think I'm lucky. What do I do for my arms? I'm going to be honest. Most of the things I do are from the waist down, because spinning is from the waist down. The type of yoga I do is yin from the waist down.
That's mostly from your weight loss, the arms.
You can see that, I still got this. This is not, this should be where a tricep should go if I were to do weights. And my problem is, and I know it's going to sound like I'm making excuses, but I've got this thing called trigger thumb, and every time I put a weight in my hand, it's like 2 months in the splint with cortisone injections. So what I need to do is, I'm into the occupational therapist, I need to find a physical therapist now and get the doctor to order it, to find ways. And I know there's JP things taught me, there's things I can do with bands and stuff, but the weights were working so good because I had them all over the house, 1 to 5 pounds. So I do stand spinning. I spin standing, so I don't think that's doing anything for my arms. I think it's doing something for my core, because what I've been trying to do lately is every day increase the amount of time not touching the handlebars or touching it with a very light grip. So, but we have a question about motivation and exercise, and that's going to come up. So let's get to the fun questions. And by the way, today, if you're watching this live, it's August 8th at about 4:30 p.m. in California. Midnight is the last chance you have to buy the live stream for Vegas at $100 off. You can buy it any time, but if you want to only spend $97, you have till midnight. And Amber actually has a question. She goes, do you have any more details on the extras on the Ultimate Weight Loss Live Conference in Las Vegas? Like the carnival or the Friday events, would love to get people excited to join us. Absolutely. Now, please keep in mind that this schedule is subject to change and improvement. And I say that because having produced 18 conference, I believe this is my 18th conference now. It's my 4th Ultimate Weight Loss Live. I did 14 conferences throughout Southern California and Sacramento since 2010. I know that whatever can go wrong often does. We've had speakers not show up just because airplanes, people get sick. Sometimes, even poor Dr. Greger was late once. So schedule is subject to change and improvement. But this is the schedule we have so far, and we'll try to get it either on the Ultimate Weight Loss Vegas board. By the way, even if you're not an Ultimate Weight Loss, if you're coming to the Vegas conference, we have a special private Facebook group run by Teresa Notwell where all the information is, so we can get you in that group even if you're not in UWL. But so far, here's what we have. So the conference historically was 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, always Labor Day weekend. It's always going to be Labor Day weekend, and until further notice, it's going to be in Las Vegas. It started out as a 1-day conference. And we added a bonus day Friday. It's not the whole day, maybe next year it will be. So what we're starting is new, because a lot of people are coming in Thursday or Thursday night. So we're starting at noon, if you want, with vendors. So there's about 8 vendors. I'll tell you who they are. This is not a vendor-driven conference. Vendors will only be selling during breaks or times designated for vendors, not during any of the lectures. But if you want to visit the vendors, you can do that from 12 to 2, or actually 1:55 p.m. We want to get everybody in there in the conference room as soon as possible, because the fire department has special rules for conferences that are 400 and over, which ours is. We can't have the vendors in the room, so they have this little room called the Piazza Room right to the side of the conference where they'll be, and I'll tell you who they are in a second. One has yet to confirm, but I'll tell you who they are, and all of them that were there last year are back, plus new vendors. So if you want to visit the vendors, 12 to 2 or 1:55, then from 2 to 3:30 p.m., this is Friday, August 31st, we have a very special bonus session with Dr. Doug Lyle. This was so kind of him to offer to come in a day early and do this. And what he's going to do is, instead of giving a PowerPoint presentation, which he's brilliant at, which you've probably seen him do either online or at other conferences, is he's going to do the Q&A style that he does at True North. We rented a big whiteboard. He loves to write on the board, and he's going to be answering your questions. And he's phenomenal when he gets to just free flow like that and not have a script. Then we have a short break at 3:30 to 3:45. That's to use the restroom, not to go to the vendors. And then at 3:45 to 4:45 p.m., we have a presentation by three sisters, biological sisters from Bluffton, North Carolina, that started one of the largest plant-based communities ever. I think they have something like 2,000 people in their club. They are from a community called Del Webb, and Karen, Mary Lou, and Leslie. Leslie's a PCR and Food for Life instructor, and they're going to present a presentation on how to start a successful plant-based community anywhere. Because one of the reasons the Ultimate Weight Loss Conference is so successful and so special is because we're all in the same group. Most of us know each other, even if it's only online. Whereas other conferences, there's no history, there's no camaraderie, there's no community. And what's hard is when people go home to their lives, or maybe they're in a small town without anybody that's plant-based in their community, in their life, and these gals have really knocked it out of the park, and they're going to teach us, and I want to learn this too because I'm going to be moving out of LA soon, how to start a plant-based community wherever you are. And that doesn't necessarily mean a club like they have, but just how to create community. So this is fantastic. So that's from 3:45 to 4:45 p.m. Then there's a break for people to maybe go to their room or use the restroom. Then 5 to 7 is the meet and greet. It is not dinner. The food is just ancillary. It's just there. There's fruits and vegetables. If you're thinking that you're going to somehow escape dinner by just shoving a bunch of vegetables in your mouth, I think you're wrong. We do this because if we don't buy a certain amount of food, we can't use the room. And that's why it's so expensive to have conferences in Vegas, because every time you eat, whether it's fruit or vegetable or your lunch, it's $50 or at minimum. And so that is not your dinner. Most people are either going to have eaten before or have a potato in their purse or eat after. But the purpose of the meet and greet is to meet and greet. So you can meet the fellow tribesmen and women. It's the only time you'll have to really hang out with Dr. Barnard, so you can meet with him and Dr. Oliveira and Dr. Lyle and Dr. Goldhammer and myself and John Pierre. It's not the only time, but it's the main time because we're not going to be doing a lecture. So that's what the meet and greet is. And after that, you're free to do what you want. A lot of people are going to dinner at Panvino. Some people are going to shows. And then at 9 o'clock, for those that want to, there's a restorative class, a gentle restorative yoga class with Michelle. She's a certified yoga instructor back east, and she's going to be doing 3 yoga classes over the weekend. We probably will have to have some kind of fair sign-ups because we can only fit 125 in the room for yoga and 150 in the room for boot camp. There's going to be boot camp and yoga every day, Saturday, Sunday, so there's going to be 5 chances. So we probably have to be kind of fair about this, and we haven't quite figured out a system. Maybe have you sign up at registration. For everybody is guaranteed 1 of those 5 slots, and if there's openings, you can go to more. There's just not a room big enough for everybody, guys. Sorry, unless we rent the convention center. We've doubled in attendance since last year. Saturday, 7 to 8 a.m., boot camp with John Pierre. He encourages you to come even if you can't do the camp, just to watch and learn, because he also lectures while he does boot camp. 8 to 9, yoga with Michelle. So probably the best thing is to pick one or the other. Maybe pick boot camp one day, yoga the other day, so that you can shower during the time that you're not doing the other. You won't need to shower after the yoga class, that's for sure. 9 to 10 o'clock, Dr. Barnard's first lecture. I believe it's Breaking the Food Seduction. Break 10 to 10:15. 10:15 to 11:15, Dr. Goldhammer lecture. He just told me the title today on the phone, something about the 10 most important habits for health, I believe it's called. 11:15 to 11:30. And by the way, Goldhammer's lecture includes a Q&A because he says his lecture is only about 20 minutes. 11:15, 11:30 break. 11:30 to 12:30 testimonial session with JP. This was one of the most powerful segments last year. I believe we sent some of them out to you if you're on our mailing list. And we'll probably have to have sign-ups for that as well, and limit your testimonial to maybe 2 minutes per person. If there's so many people that we can't get through the testimonials, we'll add a session the next day and JP won't give his lecture. Then we have an extended lunch of 90 minutes. A lot of you said that we didn't have enough time for lunch last year, so it's 90 minutes, 12:30 to 2. This is again the time to visit the vendors. 2 to 3, Dr. Barnard's second lecture, which has something to do, he wrote me the title this morning, has to do with hormones and health, so probably is tied to weight loss. It's a new lecture, and we'll have that posted. 3 to 3:15 break, 3:15 to 4:15 Dr. Lyle lecture, 4:15 to 4:30 break. And then 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. we have Sharon McCrae, and we may have other families there that will talk about how to get your families to eat healthy, how to feed your kids healthy. 5:30 to 7 is dinner on your own. If the vendors want to be open, they can. It's going to be up to them. Some of the vendors, 4 of the vendors are UWL people, and they want to be at the conference. The others are vendors, and they might want to be there the whole time. And I'll tell you who they are in a minute. 7 o'clock to 9 p.m. is a carnival. It's not really a carnival. We're calling it that because it's not the meet and greet. There's no food. Would have been great to do Kenny's idea to have baked potatoes on a stick, but it's already after dinner. So what we have from 7 to 8, we have entertainment. The first entertainment is from a real stand-up comedian. You can find him on YouTube. He's been on The Tonight Show. He's actually going to be appearing in Vegas that week as a stand-up, which is why we're having him. His name is Steve Middleman, and he's a vegan. He'll probably do a 20 to 25-minute set, followed by UWL Family Feud. And it's going to be the McCrae family versus the Scott family, but it's not going to be family versus family. It's going to be the kids of the McCrae family and the Scott family versus the grown-ups of the McCrae family and Scott family. And all the questions will be based on something in UWL, and I'm hoping somebody like Eden or Pam, if you're watching, can teach me how to do SurveyMonkey, because we're going to do that same thing. We surveyed 100 UWLers and got the top response to this question. It's going to be easy. It's going to be fun. So that should take us about an hour, and then we have the open carnival. So JP is going to be running some fitness games. Bailey's going to have a kissing and photo booth, so you'll have a chance to both get your kiss and take your picture with Bailey. Sharon McCrae and Faith Scott, if they want, are going to have, when I say a booth, guys, I mean a table, but it's okay, where you can ask them questions based on what they talked about, like to get more in depth. There's going to be a UWL clothing exchange, because so many of us change sizes so quickly in this program. We're going to donate all of our clothing that doesn't fit, because even if you're not in UWL, the minute you lose weight, you got to get rid of those clothes. I mean, unless you're like a millionaire, you're not going to, it's too much temptation to grow into your old clothes if you keep them. So you got to get rid of them unless you're going to really have them altered. So Teresa, if you're watching, I asked the hotel, they will not give us the Bellman carts, and I'm sorry, I don't know why, but they won't. Maybe you could, I don't know, be sweet to a Bellman and he could give it to you, but the hotel who I deal with said unequivocally no. And I'm sorry about that. Evan McCrae, the youngest of the McCraes, he's going to run the Poop the Potato game. It's a really fun game. Hopefully I'll have him guess how many beans in a jar if I can get around to it. We're thinking of having a veggie eating contest maybe for the kids, but I don't really want to have people participate in overeating, but that might be fun, so we're thinking about it. I used to be a balloon twister and a clown, so if I can get my hand working, maybe I'll do that a little bit too. Oh, but my favorite thing, and bring your nickels. You must bring a roll of nickels. So you guys know how Peanuts, where it says Lucy, the psychiatrist, the doctor is in, and it's 5 cents. BJ Swingle is building the actual mock-up of that, and Dr. Lyle and Dr. Goldhammer are going to be sitting there, so you can actually ask them questions, but you better give them a nickel, because I told them that it wasn't free. So bring nickels, and so that should be really fun. And that's Saturday night, and then hopefully you guys will get to bed, because we start up again Sunday, September 2nd, 7 to 8 boot camp with JP, 8 to 9 yoga with Michelle, 9 to 10 I'm doing my caloric density lecture. If you don't want to come, it's okay, but they say that repetition is the mother of skill, and I've been talked into the fact that I do need to take a speaking slot at my conference, and since calorie density is the foundation on which Ultimate Weight Loss is based, I'm doing that lecture. So also there are people that have never met me, that have never been to the conference, that are not UWL, so even if there's 3 people, it's probably still a good idea to come to have this lecture. Break 10 to 10:15. Dr. Rosanna Alviera lectures at 10:15, and she said it was called something like how to get skinny, how to get skinny despite your genes, something like that. 11:15, 11:30 break. 11:30 to 12:30 is either JP lecture on the power of motion. Unless we have more testimonials, we're going to have them, and he's going to run that session. 12:30 to 2 lunch and visit vendors. 2 to 3 is the most spectacular thing, is the joint Q&A with Lyle and Goldhammer. It's hilarious. That's enough reason to buy the live stream. You really never see them perform together, and they are like a stand-up act. 3 to 3:15 is break. 3:15 to 4:15, they don't know this, but there's a panel, a healthy eating panel, Healthy Eating Made Easy, with 2 chefs, Kathy Fisher and Kathy Hester, and with 2 moms, Kristen Bummer and Faith Scott, where they're going to talk about how they managed to do this with busy lives and have lost tons of weight and feed their family this way as well. So while that is going on, we're having a breakout session where just the men in another room. It's called the Rotunda room. No, it's in the fitness room. JP is running the men's group. So it's how to support your spouse even if you really don't understand food addiction. 4:15 to 4:30 break, and 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. JP and I have some new material that's basically about taking it home. You went to the conference, you were inspired, you're motivated. Now what do you do when you get home? So that took a while, I know, but I'm glad you asked that question, Amber, because people want to know, and it's a lot easier to talk than type. So that's that. I hope you'll come, and now that you really know what the conference is, maybe you will get the live stream, and you have about 7 more hours to save $100. All right, anything else before I go on to the next questions? There's 3 more questions.
A question about the muffins.
Yeah.
How many can people following UWL eat and still be considered compliant?
Okay, so you can eat all of them and be compliant, because compliant means literally following a prescribed course of action. So the truth is, though, if you're really following the tenet of UWL, which is eat when hungry, stop when full, the better question would be is how many will it take to fill you up? Well, if you had your pound of salad and your pound of steamed vegetables like you're supposed to have at breakfast in every meal, you're probably not going to be able to eat 12 of them. You're probably going to be able to eat 1, maybe 2. I have never eaten more than, well, these are different. These are a little bit fuller, but like the cram muffins, never ate more than 3. They're small, at least when I make them. And the mill oat muffins, generally not more than 2 for me. Cinnamon rolls, maybe 1. So how many you can eat, you'll still be compliant, but how full will you be? And are you eating them on their own? Are you eating them after a largely vegetable-based meal? So I think of these more as a treat than I do as necessarily a meal. But these kind of things are great for travel. You can freeze them, and also they're good enough for most people, like families. Like I said, they're not going to be super sweet without the apple juice, but they're going to be pretty sweet if you used ripe bananas. So anything time you eat to the left of the red line, you're eating compliant food. People confuse abstinence and compliance. Abstinence just means no sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt. So compliance means following the whole program, in my opinion, which is not weighing yourself. We have a question about that. It means sequencing your meals, unless you're somebody that is at goal weight or doesn't have cravings. Sequencing your meals, meaning starting every meal, not just breakfast, with your raw salad, then your steamed vegetables, and then your starch, and then maybe a little fruit for dessert, or maybe fruit with your vegetables or salad. A case can be made for that. So again, this can be a really great kind of transition thing for people that are used to very sweet breakfast with oatmeals and fruit, or maybe having like a Cinnabon for breakfast. But my hope for you is that if you stay with the program long enough, that you won't necessarily even want these treats. That it's good to know that they're there, but that you would much rather just eat, a half a kabocha squash or a sweet potato or something else. But so again, I can't tell you how many is right for you. I don't know what you weigh, how tall you are, how hungry you are, how much exercise you did, what your metabolism is. So I can't answer, and I take a lot of heat for that, at least from my first book on Amazon, where a lot of the negative reviews were that I didn't put serving sizes. But if you understand healthy eating and calorie density, how do I know what a serving size is? I don't know how hungry you are. A serving size is till full. If you're eating the right food, if you really understand calorie density, if you really don't include sofas and aren't eating the high-fat foods, or at least not eating too much of them, you really can eat all you want. But people don't believe it, and we have our last question about that. So average serving size, I would say 1 to 2. Maybe 3, I don't know. Because what's in it? It's oats and bananas. So when you eat oats, a serving, they say, I believe is, let's see what it says. I don't even know. Okay, so oats. It says a serving is a half a cup, 210 calories. So if there was 8 cups of oats, so 4, I'm so
I don't
bad.
think anyone would get full on half a cup of oats, though.
Okay, All right, so, but that's what it says a serving
Right.
is. So let's see. So if there's 4 cups in 12, there's 2 cups in 6. So I'm so bad at math, you guys. So there's a third of a cup of oats in every muffin, I think, if I did my math right. So 2 of them would be 2/3 of a cup of oats, which probably is enough. And how much banana would it be? I'm gonna guess 2. I don't know. I'm not good at this because I don't know how hungry you are. So maybe 2.
People would love for the Vegas conference schedule to be posted
Yeah.
or be available when they get there.
Yes, so you are right, and we'll definitely have it posted. Maybe we'll even have handouts, and we'll also have the vendor hours. I forgot to tell you who the vendors are. So coming back from last year, we have John Pierre, who's not really a vendor, he's my partner, but there's certain things that we recommend in Ultimate Weight Loss, like green powders, exercise bands, essential oils, so he'll have his table. His assistant, Marina, will be manning or womaning that table. We have coming back Kathy Fisher, who has a wonderful book, Straight Up Food, and she may or may not be selling Dr. Goldhammer and Dr. Lyle's book. I don't know. They have to work that out together. We have Janine Elder coming back. She designs beautiful t-shirts, but this year she has her own book called The Potato Reset, and I believe she posted, if you want an advanced copy, like the hard copy, tell her and she'll bring it, and then she can sign it. And then new this year is Kathy Hester, my friend who has a million great books. I don't think she's bringing all of them. Hopefully she'll bring the Instant Pot one, which is really great for our group, and maybe her air fryer one. So those 4 gals who are in UWL, they'll be having book tables. So non-book vendors coming back will be Debbie Benson. She cannot promise that the roasted garlic and the chipotle paprika are going to be ready for sale, but she promised me yesterday that they will be ready for you to taste to decide if that's something you want. I'm going to tell you the roasted garlic's the best thing I've tasted of all her spices. Chef Terry from Be Mon Pa will be back with the brand new flavor that one of you, we had a contest in UWL for a new flavor, and somebody won. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but this person's going to be very happy, and the flavor is incredible. It's a savory flavor, not a sweet one, and it will be available both to taste and to buy in Vegas. And then by popular demand, Kaylin Harwell, the skincare lady, will be there. And I think that might be it. I think that's like 7 or 8 vendors right there. And I'm still waiting to hear from the LuLaRoe legging lady. I'll let you know. So that's that. So cool. Anything else before I go on to the next 4 questions? All right, great, thanks. So Myra, how do you know when you're done losing? I'm now considered underweight, but I feel fabulous. So I asked Myra for a follow-up to why she's considered underweight, because I wanted to ask her height or weight, and she said she was 5'6", 114 pounds, which is basically what I am. I'm 117, but sometimes I'm 114 and sometimes I'm 120 because weight fluctuates by that much. So technically, if she really is 114, her BMI is 18, which technically by some sources is underweight. However, it depends who you talk to. Now, I recently heard Dr. Furman speak, I believe it was in Vegas, a different conference, where we always hear people say that 70% or more than 70% of Americans are overweight or obese, or more than half of them are obese. And Dr. Furman says that's absolutely incorrect, that the data is skewed in favor of the overweight and obese to make them appear less so, that if you really take what a normal BMI truly is, and that 25 is not a normal BMI, or 24.9, that it's more like 90% of people are overweight or obese. So if it's being skewed that way, my guess it's being skewed the other way, because if you go to Dr. McDougall's website or look up Dr. Walter Kempner, who had a great success rate of having people lose weight and reverse their diabetes with the rice diet that I believe is still taught at Duke University, his weight chart for somebody 5'6" is 117 with clothes. Now, I don't know how much your clothes weigh, Myra, but like when I go to the doctor and they weigh me, my clothes weigh at least 3 pounds. So my question for you, and I don't think Myra answered it, I tagged her, was who's telling you this? Are the people that are telling you this overweight or weigh more than you, or are they lean as you, or leaner? Because this would be a great question. We can ask Dr. Lyle and Dr. Goldhammer in Vegas, but I've seen you recently in person, and unless you've lost an extraordinary amount of weight since I've seen you, you don't look underweight to me. You look normal. But the problem is because so few people are normal weight that we just look too thin to everyone now. So if you're worried about that, then instead of adding high-fat foods, which you told me you did and ended up gaining more weight than you want, why don't you start lifting weights? Why don't you book a session with JP in Vegas? They have a gym at the Tuscany, and learn how to gain weight by gaining muscle instead of gaining fat by eating fat. So how do you know when you're done losing? I've never known anybody that's gone down to 0. I mean, even people, and I've known some anorexics in my life, some really hardcore anorexics, they don't go down to 0. Not that I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying your body just finds its natural weight for the most part. So eat more. I mean, eat more starch, eat more, if you're really seriously thinking that you're too thin, then stop sequencing. Don't eat your vegetables first. Eat your starch first. Eat your starch with your vegetables. Break some of the rules that we use to lose weight. That's what I would do. And you could always add in the high-fat plant foods, but tread lightly, because you did that as an experiment and you saw what happened. So, maybe instead of starting in with a large amount of nuts or dried fruit, maybe start with a half an ounce a day and do that for like a week and see, or a month. So, that's what I would say. But you're going to get, if you were overweight, you're going to get you're too thin. Mary McDougall is thinner than both of us, and she's been that way her whole life. And she doesn't walk around the world with people saying she's too thin, because they're used to her seeing her thin. As Dr. Lyle said on the last lecture, the problem is if somebody wasn't thin and now they're thin, since nobody can lose weight in this country, or even more so, they can't keep it off. If somebody that was heavy is now thin, the only explanation in their minds is you have to have cancer, or anorexia, or AIDS, or something. So I wouldn't worry about it unless but how do you know? How often? Why are you weighing yourself? Like, how would you even know that you weigh 114? So lift weights, work with JP, eat more starch, eat starch first, and maybe add a little whole food, plant food if you're worried. I doubt your weight is going to go any lower. If it does, I'd be very, very surprised. And if it isn't, you're probably just not eating enough. You need to eat enough calories regardless of where they come from. So, okay, why am I waiting for you when the questions are right here? Alrighty. So George says, I would love to see a summer picnic episode. Thoughts on packing a vegan SOS-free family picnic, preferably finger food friendly. So I'm going to answer this question 2 ways, George. I'm going to answer it as a chef, and I'm going to answer it as somebody who I believe specializes in helping people overcome food addiction. So as a chef, what I think picnic, I think that red and white checkered, blanket and the little baskets and things like that. And so I think of things that are, the first recipe that came to mind when I thought picnic is tuna salad, Kathy Fisher's tuna salad. I don't know why, but that came to mind. It's in the straight up food book. And the second recipe that came to mind is in Ann Esselstyn's cookbook. It's, I think it's called Jen's potato salad. So when I think of picnics, that's what I think of, is those kind of things. I think fruit, I think watermelon, I think fruit salad, I think things that are like refreshing. So to me, that's what picnics are. It's not like I go on a lot of them. For me, if I went on a picnic, I would just be packing my own food, and I would be packing my Japanese sweet potato, and this would be my picnic lunch. This would be my seminar lunch. This would be my conference lunch. This would be my lunch every day, no matter what. So, but that's something to think about, and it would be a great thread to start on the board. What other people do, it also depends like who's coming to the picnic, because if there's a lot of kids, I would make things more fun. So if kids were coming, instead of just having fruit, I would take those skewers you can get at the 99-cent store, and I would put the fruit on it. A grape, a strawberry, a chunk of pineapple, because pick it up, carry it, that kind of thing. If it was the kind of picnic where there was sometimes people have picnics. I live across the street from a park, but they're also having a barbecue. Vegetable skewers. So when I think picnic, I think easy things on a stick, maybe. So, but answering it is the person that deals with people that suffer from food addiction. I want to say the problem I have with the question is that we spend too much time worrying about special food for special events. And when I interviewed Mark Huberman today, he said the same thing. He was born vegan, actually raw vegan for most of his life. And he said he just never, lived to eat. He eats to live. And so the problem, I think, with people that are really struggling with their weight and food addiction is that we assign too much meaning to these special foods. And so to me, a picnic, if you invite me to a picnic tomorrow, it's Thursday. So what do you eat on Thursday? Well, the same thing I eat on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'm not saying that food can't be special, but the problem is none of us would ever become overweight or obese or a lifestyle disease unless we misused food either to celebrate or to medicate. So, Bailey gets the same thing on her birthday and on Christmas and every day. And so So that's where I have a problem, and that's why I see too many people relapse at these special events, at these family reunions, at the holidays, because of the special food. And the memory, believe it or not, isn't in the food. It's not Aunt Edna's pecan pie. That's not the memory. You think it is because you've linked it to that. You know, Tony Robbins talks a lot about this work. He uses a word, I can't think about it. He does it in the other way where he says, think about snakes, wham, wham, wham. If you absolutely hated your Aunt Edna and she was mean to you and embarrassed you, didn't matter how good her pie is, you wouldn't have linked that emotional attachment. The attachment is really in the memories of what went on around that eating. So you have special memories, maybe surrounding picnics, maybe when you were a child, maybe with your family. So you can still have those special memories without having special food. Maybe now, instead of special picnic food, you can have special picnic games, where now the Garcia family picnic is playing, what's that game with the frisbee that people, I don't know, but having something else fun that isn't food, and creating meaningful memories that don't involve food. When I learned about food addiction in 2012, I lost a lot of friends, even before I got slender, because I wouldn't eat at restaurants. And I had one friend that we always ate at this restaurant where you could get vegan pizza, you know, with vegan cheese and things like that. And he said, well, you know, if we can't go out to restaurants, I don't want to be your friend. And I'm like, I literally sent him a list of 100 things we could do other than go to restaurants. I literally wrote it myself. Things that I had never done in LA, like go to the Science Museum, or go to the African American Museum, or go to the Wildlife Waste Station, or go to the Getty that was in Malibu. I sent him a list of 100 things that I wanted to do in LA. I said, could you just please pick from this list? And he said, no, if we can't go to restaurants, I don't want to be friends. Well, that's the trouble with addiction, is like if the alcoholic gets sober, the old gang, you're not fun anymore. So good question, George. I'll think more about it, but off the top of my head, Kathy Fisher's tuna, these muffins would be great picnic food. Why not? So, but create new memories and define what picnic means. Okay, any comments on that before I go on to the next question?
They're just saying I agree.
Okay, aye, Captain, thank you. So Laura, whose birthday it is today, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Laura, happy birthday to you. She is an incredible example of a UWL superstar, and she is so, like Teresa Notwell, so helpful on the boards. We haven't even asked these gals to be participating in the way they are. She does a daily thread with the vegetables, and she comments on everyone's posts, and she's just a shining star and a bright light and keeps people motivated. Interestingly enough, her question is on motivation. She says, do you ever get a don't give a crap moment? How does one get back to keeping motivated? This seems like a concern for some of our tribe lately. So, you know, this would be a really good thing if Dr. Lau comes back next month and does a talk. But the thing is, when I think motivation, I think of the book The Pleasure Trap, where they talk about what the motivational triad is: seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. I personally think that motivation is a myth, because I think what a lot of people do is confuse motivation with inspiration. And the thing is I don't think it's possible to be motivated, to eat right, to exercise, even to do right in the world. But I think action has to precede any motivation. I was 52 years old before I ever exercised or ate healthfully. So for 52 years, I waited for the motivation. And guess what? Just like some of you, waiting for Mr. Right, it didn't come. So when you do the thing that you are waiting for the motivation to do, that becomes the motivation. So in other words, when you take action, that actually propels you forward to doing it. So in the case of exercise, I don't know, other than Sharon McRae, I don't know anybody that wakes up like wanting to exercise or wanting to meditate. I don't know anybody, even people that like their jobs, that wakes up and bounds out of bed saying, boy, I can't wait to go to work today. But when you do it, you actually feel like doing it. You know, the thing that's the hardest sell in the program is the vegetables for breakfast. Who wants to eat vegetables for breakfast when there's like better things to eat, like Cinnabon and Egg McMuffins and things like that? But doing it becomes the motivation. And when you do it every day, it becomes a habit. And when you don't do it, it actually becomes painful. You need daily focused action towards your goal. And the thing is, a lot of people in UWL or in the world just don't have goals. I've had clients come to me and I go, why do you want to lose weight? And they stand there for an hour scratching their head. They don't have a reason. Maybe they were told by somebody they needed to. It's like Dr. Olvera said last week, you need a why that's going to make you cry. And that sometimes isn't even enough to be your motivation. there's a saying that preparation trumps motivation. And I would say that environment trumps motivation too, because the truth is I don't think about whether or not I want to eat healthy every day. I don't have a choice because there's nothing but healthy food in my environment. So if I'm hungry and I want to eat, I got to eat what's here. It doesn't really take motivation to eat the right food when that's all there is in your house. And I think as long as your environment is not clean, motivation, willpower, it's not going to be enough. And that's why I say that the number one predictor of your success is your environment. And I know you get mad at me for saying that, but where did I learn it? From every doctor I've ever interviewed. Dr. Campbell said, if you have temptation anywhere in your environment, you will fail. Dr. Lyle says you have to work harder on your environment than you do yourself. And Dr. Saunders says, hang around a barber shop, it's just a matter of time until you get a haircut. If your environment is clean and there's only healthy food there, what motivation is required other than hunger? And when it's hunger, you're just saying with your kids, if all there's there is healthy food, eat it. I find it much more difficult for me to get motivated to meditate every morning. It takes a lot of motivation because I don't feel any benefit immediately. I feel pain later when I didn't. I realize that I'm bitchier like I was yesterday. Hello. On the live stream. With exercise, that's a tough one. I'm never motivated to exercise, but I'm motivated to not have surgery. So sometimes fear is a motivator for me. Sometimes Dr. Goldhammer says it's pain and debility. Everybody's going to be different. That's why you've got to find the why that makes you cry. But Zig Ziglar used to say that, motivation is like bathing. Neither of them last. We recommend it daily. So I think a lot of people confuse inspiration with motivation. I don't think you can motivate yourself to do the right thing when it's too easy to do the wrong thing. I think daily targeted focused action that propels you towards your goal is what's going to create the motivation. Because when you get up in the morning and you exercise, whether you feel like it or not, and when you eat greens for breakfast, whether you feel like it or not, your internal audience says, whoa, I'm impressed. This person is serious. And guess what? You stand taller, you stand prouder, and it's easier to make good decisions the rest of the day. So like Nike, just do it. I do think that motivation is a myth, just like moderation is a myth. You just have to do it. You don't have to like it, you have to do it. But guess what happens? When you do it every day, usually turns out you like it, but you got to do it consistently, probably for at least 30 days, maybe longer. Great question, Laura. Happy birthday. And one last question, and hopefully we'll have time to get the muffins out. This is from Lakshmi. She says that I mentioned I eat 10 pounds of food a day, and I believe 5 pounds of it's from starch. I know you also work out, not sure of the duration or intensity or the type of workout. I find myself and a few others feel it's okay to eat that kind of starch. I personally do not eat that much starch. I think the amount of food will vary from person to person based on their exercise levels, weight loss, maintenance goals. You mentioned that when one is sophist freeze, we will not overeat, but I still feel it's possible to overeat foods like sweet potato and potato, baked or air fried. Also, she wonders if she can overeat starch since she don't weigh or measure. Similar concern with brown rice. I once mentioned that I eat 4 cups. I personally eat 1 to 1.5 and sometimes 2 and feel like I ate too much. So what is a good way to find out the right amount of starch to consume? I wish I had started with this question because I want to give it the time it deserves. So I'm wondering if I should come back, but or just give you a really, really fast answer as soon as I check the. Oh wow, guys, look at these. These are gonna have to cool, guys. These are done. I cannot take these out. You must let them cool when you're using this kind of pan. So I'm just gonna, for now, put them back in the oven. I'm gonna turn the oven off, and I've got about 5 minutes to answer Lakshmi's question to the best I can. Okay. So just to clarify some of the points you said, I eat up to 10 pounds of food. Lakshmi, on most days it's 8 pounds, if I'm honest. I eat consistently, I eat at least 3 pounds of non-starchy at least 4 pounds of non-starchy vegetables. I eat 1 pound of fruit. Some days I don't eat fruit, like meaning sweet fruit. I might eat the zucchini type fruits. So 4 pounds of non-starchy vegetables every day, 1 pound of fruit, and 3 pounds of starch. So I eat 8 pounds. But there are days that I eat 2 more pounds of food, and then it's usually more vegetables. So most people eat 3 to 5 pounds of food a day. When you understand calorie density, you literally can eat twice as much food and take in half as many calories. So refer to episode 36 of Weight Loss Wednesday if you want to see what I eat in a traditional day. I just had a 5-week bout of severe asthma where I got no exercise, and my weight actually went down to 114 because I couldn't exercise. So I think I eat more when I exercise, but my exercise is not intense. It's been really hot, so I can't walk Bailey 2 hours a day, more like walking her 1 hour a day early in the morning. She's not getting that second walk. And I spin every other day, or sometimes there's 2 days in between, 90 minutes. Yoga I do is very, very gentle, so I don't count that for exercise or calorie burning. I count that for flexibility. Okay, so that's that. So I don't believe that exercise contributes in any significant way towards weight loss or weight gain. You might want to refer to the interview I did with Dr. Lyle about the exercise paradox, where he talked about that article from that Scientific American, where you really don't burn any significant amount of calories exercising. So that again is another myth, and it's an article worth reading. And if there's a way that I could post it, I will, but it's one of those articles you have to pay for, and I have it, but we'll see if I can figure that out so that I can share that with you. So here's the thing, I know there's always going to be exceptions, and there's always somebody to say, oh no, I gained weight. But here's the thing, first of all, how do you know you're gaining? I'm not saying you, but just like with Myra, how do you know you're gaining weight or losing weight unless you're weighing yourself, which we don't really recommend in the program unless you do it the way Dr. Carrie Saunders does it in Vegas with the BIA, the bioimpedance analysis, and I've done 4 interviews with her. So guys, I'm not Google. I spend so much time answering your questions that you can find on Google. If you want to find any interview I'm referring to, just go to the page on YouTube and then put in Dr. Carrie Saunders, Dr. Doug Lyle, and it will come up. So please help me out, because I'm just overwhelmed right now with the conference to have to look up stuff as well. So you can get the BIA. If you're not coming to Vegas, there are hospitals that have the same machines and people that you pay. I mean, it's not just like Dr. Carrie Saunders is not the only person that does it in the whole world. So that's number one. So people say, oh, I ate potatoes and I gained weight. Well, you didn't gain fat. Carbohydrate, you've got the glycogen in your muscles weighs, the microbiome has weight. Watch the last episode or the last interview I did with Dr. Lyle about, do carbs make you fat? The answer is no. Even if the scale goes up 1, 2, or even 4 pounds, that's water weight, because the carbohydrates hold water. When people go on a no carb or low carb diet and just eat meat, they're depleting all their glycogen stores, and so they're not losing fat, they're losing water. Water weighs a lot. I know this because when I wake up in the morning, if I were to weigh myself before I peed and then I pee, I'm down like 3 pounds, and then if I poop, I'm down 5 pounds. Did I just lose 8 pounds of fat? No. That's why weighing yourself is stupid unless you're doing the BIA. And if you're doing it, refer to the interview I did with Dr. Lyle about the scale and why it's useless unless, if you want to weigh yourself once a month, that's fine. But here's the thing. I would suggest you run an experiment. And, everybody that's lived with me, that's done this experiment, and people have come to live with me from anywhere from 5 to 8 days, and I fed them what I ate, regardless of how small or big they were, they all lost weight. The only people I know that gain weight eating starch or potatoes or rice are still eating sofas. Usually they're still including salt somewhere in their diet. They're like, oh, but it's only a 1/4 teaspoon a day or whatever, or they're eating at restaurants. It's like the potato and the rice always gets blamed. Just like when we have outbreaks of E. coli in spinach, it's not the spinach, it's the cow that's diseased that pooped on the spinach crop. So the thing is everybody I've known that has, quote, gained weight eating sweet potatoes or starch or not lost weight is either including some of the sofas, it's usually salt, sometimes it's oil, or still eating nuts, because they've been brainwashed that if without nuts you'll die, you won't absorb the nutrients in the greens. And the thing is, even if nuts were the holy grail of health and longevity, do you really think that if you went without added nuts or seeds, especially if you were overweight and had fat on your body, do you really think that if you went without added fat for 21 or 30 days you would die? You wouldn't. So isn't it worth an experiment to just do UWA the way it was designed for like 21, 30 days, not add any fat, not even the flax or chia, and just see? Because I gotta tell you, hundreds of people, when they did that experiment, finally broke the plateau and lost weight for the very first time. The only way you can overeat starch is if you undereat vegetables. Dr. Goldhammer has said, show me a fat person, I'll show you someone unwilling to eat enough raw salad and steamed vegetables. If you truly sequence your meals the way that I do, the way that Dr. Goldhammer, who's never been overweight or a food addict, does, the way that his son does, the way they teach you to eat at True North, where you start every meal with a huge, and I mean like a pound of salad, which is 100 calories, and then you eat another pound of some steamed greens, which is about 125 calories. You are so full, your nutrient receptors, your stretch receptors are so activated that it's pretty hard to overeat on potatoes. This particular Japanese sweet potatoes, this weighs 20 ounces. So this is not enough for me. I need at least 24 ounces to feel full, or I'm just gonna get hungry sooner. So I had 2 pounds for lunch, not these, of the Stokes. But sweet potatoes are like, you know, I think they're 350 calories per pound, but when I asked Alexa, how many calories in sweet potatoes?
1 serving of yam, 1 cup, cubes, has 81.6 calories.
Sound like she said pubes. Alexa, how many calories in a pound of sweet potatoes?
1 pound of sweet potatoes have 272 calories.
They're not even 300 calories. So
she said 272.
272. So here's the thing. Do an experiment. Eat starch ad libitum, but eat it after you've eaten all the vegetables. You know, that's why these programs that claim to reset or reboot, that take away vegetables, vegetables are the food that is the lowest in calorie density, that's going to dilute the overall caloric density of your whole meal. Everybody needs about 2,000 calories a day. I don't want to say everybody. There's people that eat more, people that eat less. But in general, they do. I think I need like 1,900 when I figure it out. So the thing is, if all you ate was sweet potatoes, if they're really 300 calories a pound, you'd eat almost 7 pounds. I can't even eat 7 pounds. I don't think I've ever ate more than 4 pounds a day. With rice, I usually eat 2 to 3 cups. The bag of frozen organics, 2 cups. If I'm still hungry, I eat another cup. But it also depends what other vegetables are in the thing. I know that if I eat more starch than I intended to or needed to, is because there wasn't enough vegetables in the meal or before the meal. The other thing is you're absolutely right, because when you do fries, you know, when you dehydrate, you are going to eat more because you've increased the caloric density because you've taken the water out. Now, nobody really eats raw potatoes that I know of. At least they don't sound very tasty to me. I've tried raw sweet potatoes before. It's all right. But the thing is when you remove the water artificially, first of all, when you steam it, you're going to have more water than if you microwave it, than if you roast it, or if you air fry it. So we've had people in the mastery program that started really having struggles once they got their air fryer because they were doing everything as air fries and they were eating way more than they intended. But if you eat whole natural food, you know, steamed sweet potatoes, things like that, steamed vegetables, and if you don't season your food, the other thing is people that season their food, even with salt-free seasonings, even with herbs, eat more. I'm telling you, if you eat a whole natural diet, unseasoned, yes, it's bland, you can't gain weight eating to the left of the red line. It is not possible. Are there people that can eat so much, maybe because they're bulimic, that won't lose if they overeat to the left of the red line? And you'd have to eat so many calories. Go to True North. 15,000 patients have gone there in 30 years. Nobody's ever gained weight. Some people didn't need to lose weight and they haven't lost weight. Again, if you're really fearful of potatoes and starch, do an experiment for 30 days and don't worry about it. Don't weigh yourself, and let's see what the results are. But don't be including the high-fat plant foods, and don't be including salt, and don't be including starch that is refined, like pasta or alcohol or bread during that time. Now, I will admit that there are people that have trouble with grains. I don't know what it is about grains, but for some people, I know for me, like oats, but because oats are really processed, this doesn't happen with the oat groat, but oats are like, they're too much like cake, because oats are basically flour to me. You know, when you take an oat, you can rub it like this, and it's basically flour, because an oat is the third incarnation. But whole grains, people don't seem to have as much trouble with whole oat groat, or millet, or teff, or amaranth. Some people claim to have some problems with rice. That's okay. You know, the truth is you don't need to eat legumes, and you don't need to eat grains. You need to eat starch. The truth is you can't live on legumes or grains because they lack vitamin A and C, but you could live on potatoes, sweet potatoes, or winter squashes. And if you truly believe you're one of these people that has trouble with potatoes or sweet potatoes, eat winter squash. I don't know anybody that ever got fat from delicata, Hubbard, acorn, butternut, kabocha squash. You really can't. So I don't want to say I don't believe you, but I've never seen it. I've never seen anybody gain weight eating to the left of the red line unless they were including salt or high-fat plant foods or any of the SOFAs. So do an experiment for 30 days, get rid of all the SOFAs, get rid of all the added fat, and just knock yourself out with starch. Because the truth is This is what makes you thin, guys. I mean, you don't have to worry about how much you eat when you change what you eat. So thanks so much for the great questions. Thanks so much for watching another live episode of Weight Loss Wednesday, episode 86, Blueberry Muffins. I'll get that recipe right, you bet. Keep sending your questions to eatunprocessed.com. Consider signing up for the live stream and coming to Vegas. We have a few tickets left. So thanks again for watching. I'm Chef AJ, and I truly believe that you can have both the health and the body that you so richly deserve. Happy birthday, Laura. Bye.